A warm welcome as you join us on Asonye Live this beautiful evening, and it's a Monday, and I'm sure that some of you, after that surprising rain over the weekend, had to adjust to one or two things to continue this beautiful week. Well, as usual here on the program, we'll be focusing on trending political matters, especially one that affects our democracy, that threatens the very basics of our democracy. Since the return to democracy in Nigeria since 1999, the battle for political relevance between state chief executives and their successor has been a regular feature on the ground. It has become a norm among outgoing governors to handpick or at least have a controlling influence on who succeeds them. The bid by outgoing governors to retain political relevance appears to be the driving force behind the desire to call the shots long after leaving office. Is that what's playing out in Rivers State, Ondo State, and Edo State? Are there subtle experiences happening at the moment that we don't even know about? Is this trend good for our democracy? That's what we'll be discussing on today's edition of Asonye Live. In the studio with me is a regular. Comrade Alamboye has not been part of the program for a while now, but it's good to have you and well suited.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
It's wonderful to have you join us today.
It's a pleasure, John.
We also have who I call him Malam Ajala. Kayode Ajala, thank you so much for being part of the program.
It's a pleasure.
A public affairs analyst, and Comrade Duke is the President Green Assembly Initiative. We'll go for a short break now. When we return, we'll get to the crux of the matter. What is happening among our chief executive and their successors? We'll be right back after this. Welcome back from that very short break. Like I said earlier, we have Comrade Duke Alamboye, President Green Assembly Initiative. He's a social commentator. We also have Kayode Ajala. He's a public analyst. Thank you, gentlemen, for being part of the program. I'm sure it's concerning the relevance we see that state governors, executive governors want to have on their successors. In the case of Ondo, it's not even a case, it's not even an ex-governor yet. It's still a governor who the citizens of the state are asking for help. Where is our governor? We understand you're very ill. However, I saw one very funny thing. Bring back our Kayode, and I found that unfortunately I had to giggle. I'm sure I'm not insensitive to giggle. Everybody is subservient to the nature. Anybody can fall ill. However, what is going on in Ondo State? I think that's where we will start.
What's going on in Ondo State is a very interesting scenario. If you look at the present, the whole thing started with the health of the governor. It was not very well. He wrote a letter to the House of Assembly that he was going to travel out for 3 months. He went out for 3 months. After 3 months, they extended it, and he's been on the sick bed. He's presently staying in Ibadan, ruling from Ibadan to Ondo. The constitution is very clear. Normally, when the governor is not available, that's why he has a deputy.
Right.
And the deputy has been handling the matter of the state. In fact, he has been representing the state on national assignments regularly until recently, when Kayode came back to the country, the governor came back to the country, and he's still very sick. Everybody thought that coming back to the country meant that he was so he was bundled back, so to say, and instead of ruling from Akure, he's ruling from Ibadan. Now, next year is election, and probably the governor has his interest. The politicians in the state also have their own interest, and everybody has been politicking from one end to the other. But I think the masses are the ones suffering for this. Exactly. Because on a normal day, it is the deputy governor that's supposed to act, while either the governor is incapacitated or is not available to rule. The law is very clear about this. But there's a lacuna. The House of Assembly are careful on what to do. On a normal day, the House of Assembly should have done what we call doctrine of necessity. which played out during Yaradua's Jonathan's time. But the governor is still alive. He's not dead yet. But he's not doing anything. The House of Assembly are playing the politics coming. But recently I learned that the president invited them to come and have a meeting to resolve that matter on how to move the state forward. But yet, things are still the same as they are. Okay,
now let's move to Rivers State. Comrade, that happens to be where you come from. What's happening in your state? It doesn't seem to have sanity. It seems like there's still so much going on. There's still some sort of rift, maybe like a lot of people have said, silent anxiety going on in Rivers State. So what is at the moment going on?
Well, it's still quite unfortunate that what's happening in Rivers State is unprecedented. We didn't expect it. It is common in Nigeria that we see every outgoing governor or leader wants someone to succeed him, either in good faith or personal faith. But when those political periods are gone, we want to see those leaders allow the governors to carry on their own policies. I'm sure before, let me be clear to the instance on ground, before Sim became Rivers State governor, I'm sure His Excellency Sim became Rivers State governor. He had worked very closely with the past governor, that is Asonye, and he knows the antecedents. He knows what to do. He knows the policy line, development line of the past government. And good thing, I was very happy when Sim emerged as governor, because this is the first time we are transiting from one party to the other, one successive government to the other in Rivers State. And it means that there will be continuity in development. We were all happy because at the time we all know the developmental strides of Asonye, and again he has brought someone. The party has been able to produce someone. The person had gone to even win the general election, meaning that we were very happy that those good intentions that the tenure I wouldn't have allowed him to finish will continue. Not to talk of these fights that we are having. For goodness sake, the governor have his constitutional authority, and the governor within 5 months had not done anything wrong to Rivers State citizens. If they are having internal reviews, we expect that as leaders, Asonye should have called the governor inwards for them to discuss. I'm very sad that this thing came to the public domain, where we saw the governor crying out loud, in readiness to die for the common man of Rivers State. It means there is more to it, and these are the issues. I could remember when Asonye became governor, he fought vehemently against all this sort of godfatherism, and in which state in Gige? It happened in Anambra State. Several states it happened, and we as Nigerians, growing politicians and growing citizens that are observing the political scenario, felt that godfatherism is a thing of the past. If you've made someone emerge, you are making that person emerge as governor or whatever position because of the capability you feel the person have, or because of the fact that you know that this is the person that can deliver your prospects that you could not timely make up. So what we're seeing today is quite sad, and I think it's not to go by. Sim, if you look at Sim, is a very quiet person, and we still keep asking, what has the governor done in 5 months wrong that he deserved an impeachment? Would Wike allow the state assembly to go ahead to impeach this governor? 5 months ago, he pronounced to Rivers State people as the most qualified person to rule the state. Rivers State people supported him. And what structure? The other time we heard the minister talking about structure. Please, these are not political times. These are governance times. The minister should be straightforward enough to talk about governance. If what is at the front of the matter were to be that same as embedded money, contracts that is supposed to be done are not done, developmental studies are not going on well, these are issues that Rivers State people want to concern themselves about it. You can see the overwhelming support that the citizens are having for the state governor, and that's how it's supposed to be. And that is because even the fair contest, you have Toroko, you had St. Phobia, you had Lumelu Briggs. They were fair weather, fair cool candidates for the state with good character, good background, and what have you. So good knowledge of the state. If if Ely had emerged, they would have been sound governors at the time we have. So Sim, you're looking there, I'm sure had good intentions coming from the line of civil service, had good intentions for the state, and he should be left alone to carry out. That is not to say that his boss, Asonye, will not have things to contribute. The elders in the state will not have things to contribute. They all have their fair cake to share in the governance and advise appropriately. But to say that they want to fight him without giving till today, River State youths, River State women, River State men leaders are seeking for the offense of their governor to deserve that impeachment. Nothing has been done. So it's a characteristic of overwhelming godfatherism, overwhelming where people want to remain in power for life and dictate at national, dictate at state level and everything. Is sad. We should be able to move out of that to have a clean and fair slate of dividends of democracy.
Okay, we'll still highlight this state one at a time, but we're just giving basics to the story. Let's move on now to Ondo State. That seems to be the next place where drama is playing out as we speak. Yes, Philip Shaibu, the deputy governor, has gubernatorial ambition, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. But in Nigeria, it is when your predecessor is not in tandem with your desires. But what do you say about what's going on there?
What's going on in Edo is really rather unfortunate. It's unfortunate for the people of Edo State. It's unfortunate for Nigeria. And I think these are major problems we have with politicians in Nigeria. And that's the reason why our development has been very, very slow. Now, you have a sitting governor who is going to end up his second term. Now, you have your deputy who is interested. Why not allow people to make a choice as to who should be governor, instead of you trying to discourage, doing everything to truncate that man's ambition? He has the right to contest. We know that in states there have always been decisions as to zoning, which zones comes in, which zones comes in. And I remember vividly last time when Philip Shaibu's office was moved from the government house unceremoniously. One of the things that was highlighted was that his senatorial area is not the next in line to be the next governor. Now, it is not it's bad for us that we are always talking about these quota systems, because we have not been able to trust ourselves to who is qualified, who is capable. I remember one story I read over the weekend when they are now talking about the fact that when they said, Sim said, the governor of River State said he's a full-blooded Ijoman.
Right.
Now, how does that come for? We never for once talk about whether he was an Ijoman until recently, when issues were coming around, he's from here, he's not from here. Development is a major problem. Now, go to Edo State now. Go to their roads, especially when it rains. It seems that for those 8 years that Philip Shaibu and the current governors they have not been able to agree as to how they want to make things work. And that's why things are not working in Edo State. And now if you look at it generally, you are about to go. Why not hand over to your deputy if you have policies that you want to, a policy trust that you want somebody to follow up? You definitely is qualified. When you get to to that meeting where you choose who candidate is, why not allow people to vote? But rather, the governor wants to frustrate that man and is coming to the public there. It's really embarrassing. Okay, see what happened in Kogi recently. The governor picked one of his own, and fortunately for us, he won the election. And he took him to the president to say, we have won. The issue of godfatherism in Nigeria, there is a major questions we should be asking.
Right.
Why are politicians interested in who rules after them if there are no skeletons in their cupboard? Why are they always interested in, I want to give the power to this, I don't want to give power to this? Why are they always? And we are the ones suffering. The masses suffer for it. And that's the reason why when the governor comes in, the previous governor, whether it's from his party or not, there is no follow-up on the development. All the policies and government is a continuum. It's not just something that
ends with you.
That ends with you. You continue. But it's not always the case with us. That's why you realize that somebody will start something afresh.
When they come into power.
When they come into power. Let me give you one example before I allow my colleague to talk. One of the reasons why Fayose is popular in Ekiti tomorrow is because of following up on what Adebayo started in 1999. Adebayo started, he was starting projects, roads, everything. When Fayose came from another party. Fayose told the people, I'm not going to start any new thing. I must complete what this man has started, because if he has opportunity to do second term, he could have completed it. Fayose completed those things. He completed, even though he spent 4 years, he completed.
You don't necessarily lose popularity when you continue.
You don't necessarily. You only add more name and dignity to your name when you complete projects. Because we waste a lot of money. Somebody starts a project, you abandon it. You think it's not right. Now you started your own, which you may not complete. At the end of the day, what happens? That's why we have abandoned projects. Right. So the issue in Edo has affected governance so much that if you check that state, within 8 years, you cannot pinpoint that this is what this particular regime of Obaseki and Shuaib have done.
Succeeded in doing. Okay, let's come to Comrade right now. He mentioned something very important. He talked about the Kogi State instance, and I remember after the primaries, a lot of the APC members, I'm talking about in the case of the APC and the final emergence of Usman, so a lot of the APC people also cried out, this is not an election, this is no democracy. The governor just handpicked somebody and forced this person down our throats. And during the primaries, it was also riddled and characterized by several discrepancies and all of that. But there's no rift right now. But is that the way to go?
See, I don't want to really meddle into internal affairs of politicians. Forget it. Well, once it didn't favor party A, or once the primaries didn't favor the next person, the other person is complaining. The same thing if the governor had allowed a fair play in the primaries, the other party will also cry foul. There is no, in Nigerian politics, there is no time the outgoing governor does not have an interest. You must be able to have interest in someone and ensure that the person emerges. Keep that aside. My only concern, when it is party affairs, they have all those rights to manipulate the system, because that the leaders.
Did they have the right?
They have the privilege.
When we talk about the concept of consensus in the Nigeria.
Let me call it a privilege. There are three stages, 3 ways you can emerge: consensus, direct and indirect, primaries.
Yes.
So at that level, don't forget that the governor is automatically the leader.
He is.
He controls financial and
even the party structure within the state,
structural strength of the political party. So the ability to influence the primaries is vested in his hands. But what I'm saying is that when all those have been done, someone admits as governor, what he owes you are or is the blueprint, perhaps, of if we are standing on good intentions. You had wanted this person to continue in government because of your inability to complete certain developmental projects in the states, so that you know that if this person emerges, he is the right person that would have continued those developmental projects. If it is selfish, it becomes a problem, and that is the major problem we have with these leaders. The intentions are always selfish. If it is not selfish, you don't have anything to do with his 8 years or 4 years in governance, because it is already outlined for him to what to do. Like he rightly cited the example of Fayose. He finished that the project, went into his own, and that's what has given him more popularity even than his boss. The man is succeeded.
Yes.
So Edo State politics is, in fact, the South politics is too troublesome. It's too traumatic, such a way that they are always spellbound to what they believe. The leaders are always holding forth not to put their eyes away from who succeeds them. You see what the governor of Edo State is doing? It's quite shameful. As brilliant, as intelligent as I respected him, for him to stop his deputy. This is the deputy that stood by him for 2 good tenures. When I say stood by him, the deputy governor is a mobilizer. The deputy governor is the man of the people. Is an advocate. Is a comrade, and he has used that strength to stand by this government. And today, if whatever reasons he wants to contest and the governor does not even want, the same thing that is happening in Rivers State, they would have gone inwards. The both of them, nobody would have heard their voice. But if on free will and rights, the deputy governor wants to run for, allow him go through the primaries. I envy and pray for the days of Peter Odelis, where they will have so many children or so many people they want to baptize as governors. You will not even know until Friday night, Saturday morning. 4 of you are there. Everybody in the party that want to contest belongs to them. Right. Go and fight for it. Now they sit back and see who amongst them is gaining momentum. That is the person. Friday night they say, go and vote for A, go and vote for B. That is where I'm interested. These days,
it's peculiar to these days because there were several, even at that period, there were several issues. I remember the Kwankwaso.
Yes. Just to mention a few of them, they were not as bad as we were today. That's why you will hear that during Peter this time he was baptizing, he was agreeing to Amishi, Omeya, and that is because they are all his people. Right. So the right thing to do is all of you go, and then he sits back to see who is paging with better than the other. If he has so much interest in one, he would have also quietly told his people, this is the person, this is the direction he's looking at. Not today. You will see a governor a year to his election sitting down to say it must be this person. So when they do that, don't also forget that it means that they want to have absolute control of the person. Right. That is the implication of all these things. Forgetting that the person will ascend to power, and have constitutional rights. You are no more. He's a human being. Yes, he's a human being. During that election period, the person also have friends, relatives, and all of that. That even areas of interest. For instance, if the different areas are underdeveloped, so Sim Phobia as an German would want to pay attention. If some wiki have done all in the upland, so Sim also have his people to satisfy. To talk of you want to control totality of his administration for 4 years, it's not done. There should be leverages. We hear people give appointment to people, even essays. They give you appointment, even your essays, you're not allowed to appoint. They appoint essays for you.
Is that the case of the Rivers State?
So this is the issue at hand.
Is that the case of the Rivers State?
Of course, in Rivers State, the governor in time past has not been able to nominate commissioners to talk of appointing them. So these are the issues. But I'm not going that line because these things are not verified by both parties. Wiki has not come to say this is why he's holding this matter.
So it's still
speculations. Okay. So, but on ground, when you see the governor crying loud, you know that there is no peace in his administration.
The question that we can even ask is, why do you pick this person as deputy to run with you?
Yeah, knowing his capability.
Knowing he has ability to help sustain your own ambition also. So now he becomes deputy governor. Along the line, for example, look at Jigawa, for example, today. The deputy governor is the current governor today. Is the current governor. The deputy is the current governor. And it's because he did beautifully well. He supported the governor. They were together throughout their tenure.
And let's just even look at the word deputy. Somebody deputizing you means is your life.
He knows exactly. He knows exactly
what you
want and how.
So at what? Let's even the Edo State governor come out to tell Edo State people that this is why is in fact does not even have such rights.
Yes.
To start with, but if he wants to be truthful to himself, let him come and tell Edo people why Shuaibu should not even run the primaries. To talk of blocking him from. If I'm sure the gallant nature of Shuaibu, if he's prevented from that party, I'm sure he's going to go into that party and win the election.
Okay. Is that a possibility you also see? And then what is most concerning is that these governors often have one vote. How come they handpick? What is it saying about our electoral process when a governor will tell you and beat his chest to say, I made you governor?
When there is a crisis in states like this, it's the party is the one that suffers more for it. Because that means the party is divided. Because some people will go this way, while some people will go this. That's the reason why most governors and their party don't win again. Probably after the 8 years, because of the crisis within the party. These people who are called leaders, they should have this, they should understand this very well, that the electorate are not foolish. We know what's going on. Now, what they are running now for is to divide PDP in Edo states. And we have people like Osuba and Ko who are coming out to want to contest for governorship in the states. So the idea is, when the governor had no right to force anybody on the citizens of the state, at the same time, the governor has a right to protect the party from losing. And I think the party at the national should be taking note of this and doing their own work and making sure that they penalize those governors when they leave office if their states are lost to other party. It's because of their selfish reasons.
I remember the anti-party wave of anti-parties when
so many
said not to have.
I think politics in Nigeria has even gone beyond party. It's becoming personal and interest and the individual.
Yes.
Let me take a support line from your submission. You see, if time is not taken, a time is coming that people will not even believe in the party any longer. The party is now becoming, in the state, becoming the governors. So you ask a question, why must a governor unpick someone,
a successor?
Politics is interest.
Yes.
Well, once you're in that office of governorship as a governor for 8 years, you will visually lose every world, every corners of the position and how big that position is. Nobody wants to give somebody a position where your name will be erased, but definitely your name should be erased. Your legacies is what
you should
always bother about,
because I mean it's there. If you've done projects, if you have impacted lives, there is nothing you can do about your legacy.
During Ameshi's tenure, he went into almost all the sectors: education, agriculture, infrastructure, health. Amechi touched every bit of it. When Asonye came, he concentrated on infrastructure, opening roads, opening the city, decongesting the city. Fantastic projects that would, today if you go to River State, you can confidently say you're doing business with ease because they are connected roads and all of that. Good one. This is another governor. He had come in as he's a civil servant that is acquainted with the people suffering. Apart from the fact that you've helped him become governor, it is the structure that makes you governor. The governor or the leader suggests you to the structure. There is nowhere Asonye alone filled form and they entered all his name as chairman, vice chairman, secretary. There was no time like that. You will be able to convince the structure, all the structure, to say, let's uphold this candidacy. When the candidacy emerge, you talk to the wider states, campaigns and all of that. The states will also ensure, party members will also ensure that they don't derail to say, okay, this is the person. So in a nutshell, it is the people that voted the man to power. We've seen state where your governor, it happened to Amechi was governor, he brought to Eko, he lost the election. Asonye from another political party won the election. That is to say, in my dream or in my reality, Amechi was not popular in that election. It depends on what is happening at a particular time. Today, I can tell you that if Asonye goes to River State, pose a candidate, for instance, there is an election today as we talk, Sim stands on his own. Asonye pose a candidate, Sim will win that candidate. And that's because of what is happening presently.
Exactly.
River State people are not happy with Asonye. Whatever that is happening should have been an internal issue. We've not perceived Sim as an arrogant person, but again, he is the governor, he has constitutional rights, and he is having the right sense of belonging as to what should be the developmental strides of River State at this time. Only him. Every other thing that we want to tell him is from is beyond of his ears.
Right. Gentlemen, I think it's time to go for a short break. We're still discussing the debacle of successors in Nigeria. When we return, we'll get into this godfatherism. How can you and I, the electorate, do something about it once and for all? We'll be right back. This is still Joy Asonye Live. This is Joy Asonye Live, and we've been discussing what's been going on in Rivers State, Ondo, and Ondo State, where it seems like the successors are still holding so closely. And in the case of Ondo, it's quite peculiar, as the state governor has been very ill and yet will not transmit powers to the deputy. Now let's get into the conversation of godfatherism and how you and I can do something about it. When a governor comes out to say, this is the person I know would succeed me and succeed me well, seems like a very innocent conversation. However, what manner of influence should electorates or citizens accept? That's what we'll be discussing on this part of the interview segment. And like I said earlier, we have Kayode Ajala in the studio. Kayode Ajala is a public affairs analyst. We also have Comrade Duke Alamboye, the President's Green Assembly Initiative. Gentlemen, I'm really delighted to have you be with me as we discuss this. But let me get to Alamboye at the moment. Godfatherism, and how can the citizens say no to this? Because it seems like it's a case of getting somebody who you think will be subservient to you, and of course the person would, like you said earlier, remember that I'm the executive governor, I also have powers, I should be able to influence one or two things.
It's party oriented. I don't think the citizens have anything to do about it.
Even in the case of Rivers State?
Yes. Let me tell you how it works. Well, once the governor wants to go, it becomes party affairs. When it becomes party affairs, the first instance is there's going to be state party elections. The governor decides who becomes party chairman, secretary at all levels. After that, it gives way for conventions, state conventions, and the state conventions produces the candidates. The governor, he who dictates what the tune.
He pays the piper, dictates the tune.
That is the principle that applies in this process. The governor dictates everything. The governor provides venue. The governor provides logistics. The governor provides everything for, including delegates that will vote in primaries. So this is, until this system is thoroughly checkmated, the political parties are not helping the system. So that is why you see that from the beginning, the political parties begin to fail in their responsibilities. We've seen where the national will even send, in fact, if the governors will even dictate to the national who should come and conduct primaries in their state. So this is the beginning of godfatherism. The political parties have given the page, the atmosphere, the free run for governors to dictate who becomes their successor in every election, down to local government elections, down to state assemblies. Today, even National Assembly elections are influenced by governors. In those days while we were growing and studying democracy, those national elections, in fact, their senators and House of Rep members, the governor even rely on them to say, what do we do? That is how sacred their positions were.
And they was a little collective.
Yeah, a little collective. They were not autonomous, but for structure, they have influence because they represent larger part of the states. So there are 3 senators and House of Rep members. So you must be able to call their attention to say, what do we do? But today, governors are so powerful that even who becomes a senator is determined by the governor. And that is because he controls the whole structures from state executives down to local government executives down to ward executives. The governor wants to ensure that he knows everything that is happening there. He has control over those authorities, and then when it comes to where they will come and do delegation, they appoint the right names of people that will play to their whims and what caprices.
Wow.
So that is the beginning of godfatherism. You cannot do away with godfatherism except that system is sorted out, and from that stage their candidate will emerge. Where the governor is very strong financially and otherwise, his candidate will emerge. They will now face the real election and incumbency.
The power of influencing, exactly, because resources are just by your tips.
Yes, by your tips, and you don't need to beg anybody. God bless you that you're able to even convince the security to support you. You win election. We're sad. We all thought that the electoral reforms would have brought transparency in our elections. Today we are saying we are back to the old system. Go to the field, do whatever you want, and come and win.
Okay, so Kayode Ajala, he has just painted a very bleak picture that it gives one no hope whatsoever. It seems like there's almost nothing you can do. I remember the case of Zamfara Madi Guso, who was reinstated a couple of weeks after the end of that tenure by a court after he was impeached by the National Assembly. He's just talking about how these governors are becoming emperors. They control all the stratas, political stratas. Is there nothing nobody can do? Do they also control the House of Assembly?
The issue has to do with our structure. When you look at our structure, the structure, and when we look at structure, when you look at the party in the national party, so to say. Now you look at who is the national chairman. Now most often the president has a say if it's their party in government who becomes national chairman. Now, when they are going to do state elections, the delegations that come from the party's national chairman that goes to the states are known by the state governors, or they are settled by the state governors, so to say.
Right.
And the president is aware about it. Now, the issue has to do with governance, but our politicians don't think about governance. They only think about what happens to me if I'm no longer in power. Who comes in next? Don't forget that during Obasanjo regime, we had a lot of challenges with this godfatherism, because he proved to us that he himself was a godfather in every way. Now, if we are going to take away this godfatherism from our system, we need to make certain laws that will allow somebody like Comrade Dukes, who may not have too much money, to come out and contest election.
It would be difficult for me to agree that Comrade Duke does not have that much.
That's
money.
what he told us.
Okay.
You know, that will allow people who are not financially buoyant. Because the truth is this: the governors have the finances. They do have the finances. They are the one in charge. Or the president have the finances. They control the state structures. And we are telling you that they are the chief security officers of their states. They can do and undo. The only where we have had some examples of where the states failed to win election because there was internal crisis. The party chairman and all the party executive within the state fight against the governor, and at the end of the day, the party lost election. But it doesn't often happen. What normally will happen is that this godfatherism in the state is now time for us to begin to check, or maybe the populists should just not vote for such person if they know that this is the person backing him up. But majorly is abuse of office.
So what you're saying is, I mean, there's not much you can do when it comes to the primaries.
There's not much that can be done during primaries.
Because the
primaries can be big. Because the more money you have in Nigerian politics,
I'll make a contribution.
The more money you have, the more you are able to push forward. But in Nigeria up today, if you don't have the money, if you don't have the means, you will not be able to influence anything. And that's what's happening.
You want to add?
Yes, I think in as much as the facts are very obvious, they have to do internal guidelines for political parties. Of course, the governors are also human beings, and they will have their interest. But the political parties should allow everybody to run the primaries. It's quite expensive, but if they do the direct primaries for political parties, if they insist on the direct primaries for political parties, there is no way. It will be difficult, very difficult, for a governor to influence the primaries. It is when they do indirect, where their delegations or the consensus, that is always a problem. In River State too, I will cite as an example, Toyoko's first tenure. Amishi rubbished the primaries.
You mean Toyoko's
trying to become governor.
Right.
The primaries was truncated by the leader himself, and that was because he was so obvious that he was imposing the candidate on the party. So they frustrated the process, did lots of miscalculation, and then the governor then, what's his name, yes, Wike capitalized on their lacunas and took them to court and won outrightly. So if the electoral laws will go down, if the INEC will go down to checkmate and insist on one type of primaries that will enable everybody to choose everybody in the party at first instance, to have a say on who becomes a representation in every position, it will be quite difficult. You will see different opinions, like what has happened in 2023 election. Some people are in PDP, they voted APC candidates in certain election. Some people are in SDP, they voted PDP candidates in certain election, because people became aware that it is not what Malga says, and because it's not eternal affairs, they are having the right to do whatever they want to do. So if you expand the primaries of the political party, you will give wider views, wider opinion for people to make choice. So the governor might not be able to reach me in my ward to say the person that's going to we are going to vote for House of Representatives. Everybody will have his decision to make, and that was the fight. Magnus Abbey fought the APC in 2015 and fought them down because the position was just too strong that nobody could contest. I like using the instance of the Peter Odile at times. They conducted primaries, even though they were not free and totally free and fair. There were certain ways that they handled these things, and it came out like the people's choice. So that is the first step to take. Secondly, immediately elections are over, it should be spelled out clearly that what we are facing is governance. In fact, I want to congratulate the president to have introduced unity government. The Peter Obis, the articles, the Kwankwasos that contested the election with the Tinubu also had national interest, also had some policies, also had some developmental proposals that would have been like the instance of the fuel subsidy. Almost all of them spoke about fuel subsidy. So I also thought that for the president to take a decision, it took a common decision that all of them had agreed upon in their manifestos. So this is how these things should work. Immediately the governor emerges in the state, it will be free and fair governance. Do you know today, as we stand now, governors do not allow any other political party to participate in local government elections, in their SEC elections. Yes. The SEC elections today now is being won by that party in power. No one seat is given to another person.
Given, and that's where I have a problem.
That is not true.
When we keep using this word given, as if they are emperors who dictate. In a democracy, that word really disturbs me. But let's go to you in a bit to round up the program. How do you feel that in the local government, for instance, he just mentioned, I remember the House of Assemblies are even better, where you see it's a context somehow.
Yeah, because it comes with the governorship.
It comes with the governorship. However, in the local government sense, the governors also become emperors in dictating. Are you saying that there is absolutely nothing that can be done? For other political parties cannot immediately, the governor or a certain political party is on seat, just go rest because that Guba will not get to you?
When you look
or rather the local government seat will not get to you.
I had an information this morning. I think I read it in person.
Yeah. So
that we have administrators. We have 774 local governments.
And we have
over 300
sole
administrators for local government. Is a dangerous trend, and we really need to look at all these matters. If the governor wants to conduct an election, they want the election within the state, they should make it open. They should allow other parties to get involved. But in a situation whereby your party is the only one that wins the election. For example, look at Kogi election that we just had last for governorship. In fact, that's one of the very bad trend that we are delving towards. You will realize that the man from Igala won all the Igala local governments. And the man from Oko won one local government. While the man from Ibira won some local government along with some other small, is now divided into ethnic election. Because in actual fact, we have always thought that the most popular ethnic group, which is Ajala, will always be the leader. It's not supposed to always be the case. And I think that's one of the problems why we have this issue of godfatherism and what have you. If we are having this issue of godfatherism because you don't want this particular zone to always be in government, you want it to circulate around, it's a different thing. But do it in a decent way. Let everybody understand the reasons why you are doing this. Because I've come to realize that, look, in all the local governments that we have today, in all the senatorial zones, the 3 senatorial zones within each state, governorship should be distributed among all so that nobody will feel neglected.
Exactly. So
that nobody will feel like he's out of place. In a Shwaba, we have a strong senatorial district who wants to be in power always, all the time. That's a challenge. You understand? But if that is a challenge, the other two should be able to come together and insist and come up with a good candidate. And I think that's what is going on in Ondo State, as the case may be. Because from my investigation, what is happening is that they wanted another senatorial zone this time around to be governor next year. That's what is causing the challenge. Because now, if Kayode is taken off completely, the deputy governor, as acting governor, has all the powers. The only thing that he may not do is fire commissioners, fire all this, fire all that, because the House of Assembly may not allow it. But if he's become acting governor and the government is incapacitated and the House of Assembly decides to say, you are the acting governor, then definitely he has to oil his own political machine, knowing fully well that he has ambition. And oiling his own political machine may cause some people who are interested in governance in the state not to have a say. And that is why the challenge is there. But however, politicians must have at the back of their mind that we, the governed, are not fools. It is governance after election. Allow governance. For example, in the case of Rivers, what I expected is, if you allow this man to start work, let's even give him 1 year or 1.5, 2 years before you start talking about you put him there, you put him there. What did you put him there to do? What are you hiding? If you have anything, do you have anything to hide? Tell Nigerians. We have gone past this deceit. Believe me, I like option A4, and I always say it whenever I have opportunity to talk in the media. I love option A4. Option A4 1993 was when the election of Abiola and Netofa came. It allows for an individual to be able to express themselves. You will line up behind the political party you want, and they will count it 1, 2, 3. We will write it out. It is becoming better. It is becoming better. Transparent. It was transparent at the time.
I'm sure it will be transparent. If we go into the option A4, you just
after
don't forget the intimidation. I mean, we just witnessed the general election. There's the threat of physical intimidation and allegedly in collaboration with security agencies. So that is also a concern for the democracy that we experience in the country, that is not strengthened enough with this.
That is the same reasons why you realize that the modern day electoral laws that we said they will be transmitting did not work.
Exactly. However, there's so much. You're talking about an election where you're voting and so much massive financial inducement. So now you even have the reason to
I think
I will not go.
Totally digitalizing
the election
process is the best.
It's
the best. Totally digitalizing. You don't need to go. Nigerians don't need to go on holidays to vote. If we are using 5 days to vote, the way you load your recharge cards, get the apps loaded on your phone. You are eligible. You put up your BVN can even give you space. If you are not eligible, you cannot vote. It's direct, and then you vote. We saw in developed countries people vote from the offices, and then the station room gets the votes.
Exactly, and you see,
even presidential candidates in those developed countries, they vote. They don't have to go to the polling booths to vote. And they vote. They voted in their own house.
Yes. However, I mean, our telecommunication penetration is something we should also talk about. How many people have you just said download apps so easily? How many people do that's
the question. So instead of inducing financially, you will be compelled to buying those people you want them to vote. Yes, but it gives you a transparent vote.
Yes.
Getting it transparently is better than getting it in a mago-mago way, if I use that.
Okay, now let's get to solutions. I would like to start with you. What would be your solution to what's going on in Edo, in Rivers State and Ondo State?
It's becoming more obvious in Edo State that PDP may lose this election. But they need to gather their hearts together and allow everybody that wants to contest on that platform to come clean. The governor too should realize that he's supposed to be the father of the state. He should let the party members choose who they want to vote for. Not you saying this is the person I want. Allow Shuaibu. Let peace reign. The guy has apologized to you in public.
I mean, we all listen to that.
And we all heard the apology. Now, allow him to. Now, in the case of Rivers, I think Asonye should come to understand that it's not really some bunch of. He has been a governor. He has done his part. And we thank him. He should allow this man. This man is a chartered accountant. He's a fellow of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria. The guy is intelligent. You should allow him to rule. You don't have to forward it over the man. Let the man be the one doing the work. And in the case of Ondo, the best to do is transmit power to the so that the deputy governor, so that governance can continue. There's no governance in Ondo, and the people are the ones suffering for it.
Exactly.
Bad roads, no water, agricultural, everything is suffering. Transmit. You are sick. You are being treated with the state's finance, with the taxpayers' money. Transmit power. Let that man be acting for you. And I think the issue is when you look at these three states, these are major states in Nigeria, and it's very important for us to understand that, look, politicians should come to realize this, and I only think Nigerians will come up to realize this too also, that we cannot always give in to these politicians and all their antics,
right,
just because they want to be in power all the time.
Okay, your turn.
Well, in Ondo State, I support his opinion. The governor should constitutionally, that's what's supposed to be done.
Yes.
Else they should start an impeachment process for him, because it cannot, because of your sickness, hold down the progress and development of the state. It should transmit powers and let governors continue. If the deputy governor is good enough, make him go into the general elections and become governor. A man that has held on for this while you were sick, I think is not too bad. For Edo State, again, good. It's primaries. We're not saying that the governor cannot have interest in whom should succeed him. He should, but if his deputy is also having interest, he should give him that fundamental right. It's his constitutional right to contest for that election. You can go ahead and lobby, do whatever, all the strategies you want to use to block him out, and if you cannot allow him emerge. For Rivers State, we have one governor. His name is His Excellency Simfobla. That is the governor we know, and is the leader of the state. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen, for being part of the program and sharing your insight into what's going on in our political space. We've had Comrade Duke Alamboye, President, Green Assembly Initiative. We've also had Kayode Ajala, Malam Ajala. Malam Ajala is a public affairs analyst. Thank you, gentlemen, for keeping me company as we discuss this.
It's a pleasure.
But this is where we draw the curtains on Joy Asonye Live. Rest assured, we'll be back tomorrow with so much more. Do have a wonderful evening.